But me, your man, Louie Tee, welcome. You are here in the lab room, Louie Tee Live. Thank you for joining me as I continue to run through week 3 of the preseason in the National Football League. Of course, I'm your host, Louie Tee. Thank you for joining me on this program. Before we get to the Cleveland Browns taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium, I'm going to talk about all the ways that you can contact this show. First and foremost, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Subscribe to the channel, LouieTeeNetwork, for more great content in 2016 and moving forward. Feel free to peruse and browse the archives as there is already great content there in the Louie Tee Network video vault. So also on Twitter at In The Lab Room, as you can see down below, all of my different social media platforms. Please subscribe to my channel, Louie Tee Network. Please follow me on Twitter at In The Lab Room. Please like the Facebook page on Facebook. In The Lab Room is the Facebook page there as well. So with that being said, if you want to join this show, if you want to comment on this show, feel free to do so. If you want your comment read on the air live, and I'd like to do that at the very end of the program, make sure you use the hashtag LouieTeeLive, no matter what social media platform you're using. If you're on YouTube on the live feed and you're on the chat board, make sure you use the hashtag LouieTeeLive. If you're on Twitter, at In The Lab Room, hashtag LouieTeeLive. And if you're on Facebook, same thing, LouieTeeLive. That being said, I want to jump into the breakdown of this preseason matchup between the Cleveland Browns and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the way I like to do that is with a segment I call Likes, Dislikes, Banana in the Tailpipe. Like, dislike, banana in the tailpipe.
What y'all, the second team?
We're the first team.
Yeah, we're not gonna fall for a banana in the tailpipe.
You're not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe?
Okay, so likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe is really simple concept. Things that I liked in the game from each team, things that I didn't like in the game from each team. And then the banana in the tailpipe is simply the oldest trick in the book. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. These are the things that I don't believe in after seeing them in week 3 of the preseason from these two teams. Now, it could be something good. It could be something bad. It could be both. In any event, in any case, I'm not sold on the fact that whatever I'm talking about in that particular section, I'm not sold on that happening just yet. I need to see more of it to be convinced. Again, it could be good or bad, but I'm not falling for the oldest trick in the book, the banana in the tailpipe. Let's jump into the likes, however, for the Cleveland Browns. I like to start with the likes, dislikes, and banana in the tailpipe for the road team. Browns were on the road, so we're going to talk about them first in this football game. Let's start with the likes. I love the deep ball action with this Browns football team. We've seen it all preseason long. They were able to connect on the deep ball against Green Bay. Were able to do it again last week versus Atlanta. They did it again in this game versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So again, you're seeing them take shots down the field. Hugh Jackson being very aggressive. Robert Griffin III, say what you want about him. He throws one of the most beautiful deep balls in all of the National Football League, and you continue to see that in this football game. Speaking of which, Josh Gordon, Flash Gordon, he's back. You saw him in this game. 2 catches, 2 targets, 2 big catches, 87 yards and a touch. They've been talking about this man all training camp long about how he's in shape and how he's ready to come out. And we heard the rumors that the Browns said, if someone wants to come and get him from us, we're looking for a 2nd-round pick or better. And now you see why this guy is a force when he's on the football field. So he made some huge plays. Both of those big catches on Brent Grimes. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. But I thought he was impactful in this game. He's definitely going to help this Browns offense in 2016 and possibly moving forward if he can get rid of the off-the-field issues. Isaiah Crowell, I thought he looked strong in his performance. 8 carries, if I'm not mistaken, 39 yards in his football game. Thought he looked really sharp, ran the football hard, made some decisive cuts. Really like what I saw out of Isaiah Crowell. Think he's going to make a great lead back in Cleveland in 2016. A guy that I'm actually intrigued by 2 players, and I want to mention them now before I finally wrap up the likes for this Browns team. Emmanuel Ogbah is a rookie out of Oklahoma State that is one of the few guys right now that looks like he can get pressure by himself without blitzing. they aren't getting a lot of pressure. We'll talk about that here shortly in Cleveland. And so they need someone to step up and assume that role, and maybe Emmanuel Ogbah is that guy. I wasn't a huge fan of his coming out of Oklahoma State, but I saw flashes in this game of a guy that can get around that corner, get around the edge. If he can start to produce some hand usage, and he actually used his hands on the particular play in question when he was able to bend the corner and get to Jameis Winston. Didn't get there fast enough before he got rid of the football, but he did apply pressure and made Winston get rid of the football. So Emmanuel Ogbah is a guy that I'm intrigued by. They're going to need his production. They're going to need him to develop if they're going to be able to not have to blitz consistently to get pressure in 2016. And the other guy is Jamie Meter. Here's a guy that is out of Ashland, was on his Browns team last year, but didn't really see the field. And I'm impressed with him. He's starting, over Hughes. And I'm looking at him, and I'm seeing this guy flash. I saw him flash a couple of times, had a face mask penalty, unfortunately, but was chasing Robert Griffin III on a particular, Jameis Winston on a particular play where he got a face mask on a third down that allowed the Buccaneers to get another opportunity, and they would actually score in the next play. But he was aggressive up front, made some plays in the backfield. I'm impressed. They've been impressed. Obviously, that's why he's starting, and I see why. This is a very active defensive lineman, and I was impressed with what I saw out of Jamie Meter. And finally, the last is Robert Griffin III. He was battered and bruised in his football game. He continues to take shots. I don't know how much longer he's going to last this season. That's always been his issue. Is he's a guy that is very fragile, has a track build, and you don't know how long he's going to be able to withstand the punishment. He took a bunch of it in this football game, had one hit where he fumbled the football, was an awkward fall, which was his trademark in Washington, a lot of awkward falls that saw him get hurt. And besides all of that, though, I thought he played well in this football game. Still some things he's going to have to work out. Some holding on to the ball a little bit too long in certain instances. A lot of deep shots, so if you're going to take those shots down the field, you're going to have to be protected. There's some things that he needs to work on, escaping the pocket, so forth and so forth. But make no mistake about it, he's been really solid in this preseason. Another solid performance and showing by Robert Griffin III, not turning the football over. Did turn it over against Green Bay, didn't turn it over in this football game. Again, if they're going to have any chance of winning ball games in 2016, they're not good enough to give the football away, and he hasn't done that often in this preseason, didn't do it in this game. So I think it was another solid showing by Robert Griffin III. Hopefully he can continue to stay healthy and produce and progress in that Hugh Jackson scheme in Cleveland. I thought he did some solid things in this ball game. Let's go to the dislikes in this football game. And the first thing I look at is the punt coverage unit. You can't give up a touchdown like that. Again, this team isn't good enough to give it up in situations like that where you don't even touch the returner. It's a straight line. Literally, he takes one little pursuit outside, gets to the outside, and it is nothing but green grass and opportunity and space. It's a foot race, and Adam Humphreys won it clearly and decisively. Easy touchdown. You cannot give that up if you're the Cleveland Browns. There was nobody out there for contain. That cannot happen. This team is not good enough to have that happen. Lack of pass rush. I alluded to this earlier when I talked about Emmanuel Ogbah and the lack of pass rush that the Browns get. Jameis Winston had all day to throw the football. Good NFL quarterbacks, as you saw in this game, will carve you up if you give them the type of time Jameis Winston had to survey the field. If you want to give up 27 points in the first half, that's how you're going to accomplish that, by not getting pressure on the quarterback. They're going to have to be better in that department. And I just don't know how. You're going to probably have to scheme that up. Ray Horton probably going to have to be creative, because they're not going to be able to win enough one-on-one matchups to get consistent pressure to affect the passer in 2016. The next dislike, inability to finish drives with touchdowns. We've seen that from the Browns this preseason. They've moved the football up and down the field at times. We've seen big plays. We saw it in the Green Bay game with some big plays, but turnover or having to settle for a field goal. You saw it again in this game. First possession, big ball down the field to Josh Gordon. Flash! Gordon! They still have to settle for a field goal. They got to get it in the end zone. This defense isn't stopping teams from getting in the end zone. They're not good enough to overcome having to settle for field goals. They need to be able to sustain offense first and foremost. I didn't see a lot of that in this game. I saw a lot of big plays. I didn't see a lot of sustained offense. I didn't see a lot of 11-play, 72-yard drives. There were 5-play, 62-yard drives. And they got to be able to just they have to be able to do more than just hit the big ball, okay? They got to be able to do more than just hit Terrell Pryor for 47 yards or hit Josh Gordon for 45 yards or hit Corey Coleman for 55 yards. They got to be able to sustain offense, and when they sustain the offense, get it into the end zone, cap the drive off with the touchdown. They didn't do that in this game. Defense giving up touchdowns. That's a problem. We've seen it all preseason from them, aside from game 1 versus Green Bay. They gave up touchdowns against Atlanta. They gave up touchdowns in this ball game. They gave up 27 points in the first half, okay? The Buccaneers' first 4 possessions all resulted in points. Again, that can't happen if you're looking to win in this league. And so they got to stop giving up touchdowns. Simple as that. You got to buckle down. So what, you give up some big plays. So what, you give up a sustained drive. You can give up all the yards you like in this league as long as the team is not finishing off drives with touchdowns. But the Browns were giving up touchdowns in this game, and I think that's something else that may affect them in 2016. There's going to be a lot of ills for this football team in 2016, and that's going to be a big one if they can't stop teams from getting in the end zone. Justin Gilbert, this is the final dislike. Concussion. I hate injuries with a passion, especially when they come this time of the year in the preseason. Want everybody to get to the starting lines, to the blocks with all their horses intact, ready to run at the gate when they open it up. And Justin Gilbert, I thought he actually played well in this football game aside from giving up 1 deep shot. I thought he was actually looking like a guy that had new life in Cleveland. Remember, this is a guy that was a first-round pick that barely saw the field with the old regime. Now he's getting an opportunity under Hugh Jackson to get a new, fresh start. And I thought he actually looked like a guy that was rejuvenated, and that concussion may stop him from his path back to success in Cleveland. And we'll see if that concussion keeps him out for an elongated period of time. Let's go to the banana in the tailpipe for the Browns. The ability to connect on the deep ball. I'm not sold on the fact that this is what they're going to be able to do all season long. Teams, again, aren't really scheming up ways to stop Robert Griffin III. They're just using a lot of vanilla different looks. Nothing really exotic. They're not coming after him. They're not confusing him with pre-snap movements, safeties coming down and dropping and all of those things. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets the same one-on-one looks that he's been getting in the preseason, if he'll get straight cover 3 and allow these one-on-one matchups with these big receivers to go up and make plays on the football. I'm not sold on the fact that the Cleveland Browns are going to continue to have big plays in the offensive attack. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe of the Browns connecting on the deep ball consistently. So we go from the Cleveland Browns to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they did a lot of good things in this game. We start with their lights. Winston and Evans are in shape. That's the first thing that I saw. The first thing that jumped off the screen at me watching this football game was, damn, those guys look good. They look like they're in lockstep with one another. Winston was rolling out, and we know he likes to move. This goes all the way back to his Florida State days, but he was never in the greatest of shape. He looks spry. He looks like he can move a lot better, and that's going to help him because he is mobile. Okay, despite the time he ran at the combine, he is a mobile quarterback that can throw on the run. We saw that in this actual game. And with him having a lighter frame, that's going to help him tremendously. Same with Mike Evans. Mikey looked good. He looks in shape. There was always a little pudge there in the stomach region. No more. That is gone. They said he shed 20 pounds or so, and he looks the part. He's going to be a big contributor to this Buccaneers offense. Let's go to the next light. Tempo and pace of offense. Okay, I think this offense under Dirk Cutter looks tremendous. Jameis Winston has a great command, and I'll talk about him in a second, of this offense. The pace and the tempo that they're moving with, getting in and out of the huddle, sometimes not even huddling up. I just love the way that this all flows together and the way that it flowed together in this game. Now, keep in mind, it's the preseason, number one. Number two, it was the Cleveland Browns. Take it with a grain of salt. But again, if they put the Browns in front of you and they're mincemeat, chop them up. That's what they did in this game. I love the way this offense flowed and the tempo and rhythm with which it worked in this football game. Next, Jameis Winston, Adam Humphreys, Mike Evans, Vincent Jackson. Let's start with Jameis Winston. He's pulling the strings here at the quarterback position. He looked damn good in this football game. 16 of 25, 259, 2 scores. Again, we're talking about one half of work, folks. He was very good in this football game. Very precise with his decision making. When he made a decision, he made it quickly and got rid of the football. I thought that he gave his receivers chances to make some plays on the football. Got out of the pocket, threw on the run. All of those things look good to me. And I love the way, again, I can't stress this enough, the command of the offense. He's in control. He's setting protections. He's giving dummy counts to get the defense to identify what it is they're trying to do, making it easy for him to make reads and decide where he's going with the football pre-snap. So I just love what Jameis Winston is doing. You saw all of those things in this football game. If he can continue to do that, this guy's going to be dynamite in 2016. Let's talk about his supporting cast. Adam Humphreys. Look, elite offenses, explosive offenses have a guy winning in the slot. You saw that in this game. If they're going to have an elite offense, they're going to need Adam Humphreys to continue to win in the slot. You can go ahead and look at the NFL and the evolution of offenses over the last 20 years, and you will find that the slot is the key to these offenses, whether it's Peyton Manning in Indy with Brandon Stokely, or it's Tom Brady in New England with Wes Welker, or it's Peyton Manning again with Wes Welker in Denver. You look at Ben Roethlisberger, whether it's Antonio Brown winning in the slot, or it's Marcus Wheaton winning in the slot, or Hines Ward winning in the slot. You need someone that can win immediately in the slot. And Adam Humphreys was winning in the slot in this football game. If he can continue to be consistent, not only was he good as a pass catcher in this game, but we saw what he did as a punt returner as well. So thought he was huge in this game. And I look for big things from Adam Humphreys in 2016. Mike Evans, Mikey, I talked about him in shape earlier. Love what he's bringing to the table. Big game for him. 5 catches, a $115 and a touch. He looks to be in mid-season form. Again, if this is what he's going to do, if this game is indicative of what he's going to be, look out, NFC South. You could be in big trouble in 2016. Again, remember he had an issue with the dropsies last year. He's in shape now. I think he's much more focused than he was a season ago. I think he could be poised for a huge breakout season in Tampa in 2016. And VJax, the key with him is always health. He looked good in this game. He started off the party that they had in the first half against the Browns in this game with a couple of big catches. If he can stay healthy, to me, he's going to be the X factor of this offense, because I think you know that Mike E is a guy that's going to be able to get it done on the outside and stay healthy while doing it. Adam Humphreys, I think, is going to be able to provide them with some depth in that slot and be able to win immediately. But to me, VJax is the key, because if he's not healthy, then you can start to take your focus and turn it to Mike E and take him out of the game. But if VJax is on that other side, now you have 2 problems to deal with on the outsides, not to mention Humphreys in the slot. And if they can get anything out of ASJ, look out, then you're starting to play what I like to affectionately term B-O-G, basketball on grass, with all those big targets out there for Jameis Winston to get the football to. So if VJax can look like this consistently throughout the season for 16 games, this Buccaneers offense is going to be a lot of trouble. The offensive line, you talk about all those skilled guys, you talk about Jameis Winston, give some credit to that patchwork offensive line. They had a lot of guys out in this football game, and what that shows is depth. Now, again, take it with a grain of salt. It's the Cleveland Browns. I don't think they're going to be able to get a lot of pressure on most Sundays, but I don't give a damn. Okay, block the guy in front of you. They did that. They gave Jameis Winston a lot of time to throw the football. Thought the offensive line was phenomenal in this game. And if you're going to talk about Winston, you're going to talk about the time he had, you need to give credit to that offensive line. I thought they looked sharp in this football game, despite a number of injuries to that offensive line in this football game. Again, showing the depth the Buccaneers have along that offensive line. And defensive pressure. They were all over the Browns in this game. 8 sacks. They sacked Robert Griffin III 5 times in this game. And again, I don't know if that's something that you're going to be able to rely on, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But that is impressive, to say the least. You go out and spend some money on the defensive line. You go out, you spend some resources in the draft on that defensive line. Good to see it starting to pay a little bit of dividends. So it'll be intriguing to see if that's something that continues as we get to the regular season and get into it. It'll be interesting to see if the Buccaneers, a team that wasn't known for really getting to the quarterback last year, only 38 sacks on the season last year, had 8 in this preseason contest. So we'll see if that's something that continues for this Buccaneers team as we move forward. Let's go to the dislikes. Brent Grimes in this game struggled. Now, I don't think that's something that you're going to see all season long. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be a huge liability, but he will be a liability. First play of the game for the Browns. It was a sloppy double move by Josh Gordon, and he literally bit all over that double move and allowed Josh Gordon up the sidelines unabated for a big play to start the game off for the Browns, which led them to their field goal on the first possession. He needs to be better. Gave up the touchdown later on in the game to Josh Gordon. Flash Gordon to that deep ball in the end zone where he was able to come back and get the ball. Grimes was right there in position, but overran the football, couldn't stop in time to make a play. I thought he struggled a bit. And speaking of Brent Grimes, he left the game with an injury. Don't know the severity of it, but I hate injuries. I talked about that already. Hopefully he's fine because they need him. This is a young Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary. He's a veteran along with Alteron Verner. They need those veterans out there to help the young guys along in 2016. Mike Evans had a minor knee injury, tweaked his knee a little bit on an awkward tackle late in the first half. All reports say that he's fine, which is great. He was able to get up after the play, so I'm not really too worried about it. Again, I'm no doctor, didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, but when I see a guy get up, get off the field, and then wave the doctors off on the sidelines, I tend to feel good about it. As they came out of the locker room, Evan Washburn was able to give us a report that he's fine, so I feel good about that. But again, I do not like to see anybody get banged up in the preseason. Moving on to the banana in the tailpipe for the Buccaneers in this game. Explosiveness. Explosive. Are they going to be that explosive all season long? I'm not sure about that. 5 plays of 20-plus yards on the first 4 possessions. All 4 of those possessions scoring drives for the Buccaneers in that first half. Are they going to be that explosive, that consistently throughout 2016? Maybe, but I'm not sold because, again, they were playing against the Cleveland Browns. Take it with a grain of salt. Is Jameis Winston going to have that kind of time to drive the football down the field consistently all year? I don't know, but I tell you what, they looked good, very explosive in this game. Will that continue? I'm not sure. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe of saying that they're going to do that all season long. I'm not going to say that that's applicable to the 2016 season because they did it in this game. But damn it, I will say it was very impressive. And if they can protect, those are the type of things that can happen and probably will happen for this offense. And the last banana in the tailpipe for me is consistent QB pressure. They got 8 sacks in this game. Okay, 5 of them were on Robert Griffin III in the first half. Is that something that is going to be the calling card of this Bucs defense? Are they going to be able to consistently get pressure on the opposing quarterback? Or was that just something that happened in the preseason versus the Cleveland Browns, versus Robert Griffin III and a Cleveland Browns football team that's trying to find their way? That's a question that I have. It's good to see it. And again, I'm a firm believer. If they put the Browns in front of you, they're struggling. Well, help them struggle. That's what they did in this game. Can they continue to get consistent pressure on the quarterback? We shall see. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe of the Browns, or excuse me, the Bucs getting consistent pressure on the quarterback all season long because of what they did in this game. So let me check my YouTube, or I'll check YouTube here in a second. I'm going to check Twitter to see if I have any tweets sent to me based off of this video. So I quickly want to observe that and see if there's anything that I need to address from you out there, the viewers. And yes, there is a tweet here. At LER3AP3R says, one thing I know for sure, Bob Griffin throws a gorgeous deep ball. That he does, Brax. That he does. That coming from Shane. Yes, he does throw an awesome deep ball. And that's one thing that I stressed earlier in this program is that Robert Griffin III, say what you want about him, he can throw the deep ball. That is for certain. And he did it again in this game, has done it all preseason long. You protect him, he's going to be able to get the football down the field. So, with that being said, I'm going to take to YouTube to check and see if there's anything here. And there is a comment, so I'll read that off. This is from J Moo. We discussed in the last video that we like what we saw from Josh Gordon. Yes, we talked about Josh Gordon, and he looks really good, man. He looks really good. It's a shame that he's going to have to miss the first 4 games of the season due to a suspension, but hopefully that'll be the final suspension of his career, and he's able to come back with a vengeance in 2016 and re-solidify himself as one of the better receivers, because remember, in 2013, he was the best receiver in the league that season. Hopefully he can get back to that form. So let's see if we have any more comments. I don't see anything else addressed to me, so that's going to do it for this breakdown of the Browns at the Buccaneers in week 3 of the preseason. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. Come back and see your man as I continue to break down every game in week 3 of the preseason. Coming up next, Pittsburgh Steelers at the New Orleans Saints. I'll see you in a bit.